In this video, we'll take a look at building one of the final pieces of our street racer, which is a new wire mesh front grille. Okay, so here's where we left off in the last video, and you probably noticed by now that I had deleted these front fog lights, and in this area we're actually going to now build a new front grille area. So to start things off, I'm going to make sure that this has been converted to a polygon surface already. And once that's been converted, what we can do is now right click on this surface and go up to Edge Selection. And what I'm going to be doing is basically just selecting some of these edges that run right along this front area. Okay, and you can really start selecting just about any place you want, as long as it's someplace that's pretty close to the edge and pretty close to the front. Okay, so in my case it's going to be right along this line, and what I'm going to do is just hold down on my Shift key and just make sure that I grab all of these edges that run along this entire front area of the cavity that these fog lights used to sit inside of. Okay, and you can see there's quite a few edges here to choose from. So you're going to want to make sure that you, like I said, select all of these, and make sure that you don't actually select any edges that are maybe underneath this piece of geometry. Okay, so once we've got these selected, I'm going to select it up to about that point. Okay, you can kind of see now the edges that we have selected right up along this front area. So with these edges selected, let's now go up to, first of all, let's check our polygon tool options and make sure Keep Faces Together is turned on. And now under Edit Polygons, let's go up to Extrude Edge. Okay, and with this Extrude Edge selected, let's go ahead and first of all switch this to a global axis mode, and you can do that by clicking on this little switch up here in the Extrude manipulator. And let's make sure we just pull this straight up. Okay, and this is going to now create the new grill area. Okay, so what we have to do now is, if you'll switch to a front view to make it a little bit easier to select these pieces, let's go ahead and now just select all of these faces that are in the front. Okay, and let's make sure that we did actually select them all. Now what you'll probably have to do is now switch to a side view, and because when we selected all these faces from the front, it also grabbed all these faces that were back here behind it. So all you've got to do is just hit your Control key to deselect all those faces. So now what you're left with are just these faces selected. Now with these faces selected that make up the front grille, let's go up to Edit Polygons and let's go to Extract. Okay, and what that's going to do is now make these faces their own separate piece of geometry. So let's go up to Modify, Center Pivot, just so we can set the pivot point back to this area. And like I said, you can now see that this is its own separate piece of geometry. So what we have to do now is take a UV snapshot of this front grille that we can then take back into Photoshop and build the textures for. So to do that, let's go ahead and go back to our front view. And under Edit Polygons, let's go to Texture, Planar Map, and let's check our Planar Map options. Okay, Keep Image Ratio is turned on, and Camera's turned on. Let's go ahead and project this. Okay, and you can tell it's been projected now from our manipulators. Let's check our UV texture editor and make sure it did work correctly. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get this snapshot out, and we'll just call this Grill UV. And let's make this 1024 by 1024 JPEG file format. Hit OK. And now, in the next video, we'll go ahead and actually jump back into Photoshop and build the textures for this new front grille.